Jeanette, back with you today, sharing another video. And today I want to just share with you, I need to make some tea because I'm all out. And I usually make about a half a gallon jar at a time. And I'm just gonna show you how I do this. I've got so many questions about this. Yes, I really do drink tea every single day, whether it's clear tea, what I call clear herbal tea, or whether it's a creamy latte. It is a cold, wet, rainy spring day. And so I am still making a lot of creamy lattes, though I kind of drink them year round. I might go into kind of some ice fruited teas as the warm weather really comes on, but I really love this. And I think of this like somebody would use their coffee. And you can use coffee substitutes the same way. My whole purpose today is to share with you, yes, you can take tea and make a very good, delicious tasting creamy latte that you will love and enjoy drinking every single day. And so the way I make it easy for myself is by making up this big jar of tea. So I'm just gonna start out with just a basic pan. This is my favorite pan. I'm gonna make a half a gallon. I'm gonna turn my burner on. Whether somebody wants to say, oh, you're not supposed to put your tea in first, you're not supposed to put your water in first, it doesn't matter. Just put it in there. It's all good. Wait till you see what I do. And trust me, this is good. We are gonna steep all the goodness into the water and make ourselves a delicious drink. So this is my tea blend right here. I don't typically measure. I'm going to measure for you, but I'm going to do what I just wanted to see if, okay, so I do about a handful, and that was not quite a third cup. So maybe a fourth cup. I thought a fourth cup would be not quite enough. We might even add a little bit more. Then I'm just going to put my water in here. Okay, and we're just gonna give this a stir, okay? That's all I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna give this a stir. I just want it to get all wet. I don't want it to just be floating on the top. Some of it will kind of sink, some of it will float. I just want it to be wet, okay? So then I am just gonna get this hot, now my water hot, and this is just all gonna be steeping here. So I'm gonna set my timer for 5 minutes. Basically, because while I'm talking, or even if I'm doing something else around here, I pretty much will set my timer. If I don't set my timer, I will forget that I have this going because I'm going to be doing about 10 other things in this kitchen. All I want to do is get this hot. I don't want to boil it. I don't want to bring it to a boil. Matter of fact, I don't want to bring it to a boil. Let me repeat it that way and really emphasize, I do not want to boil this. I just want this to get hot so I can see maybe a little steam. And then I'm going to show you, I'm going to put a lid on it. I just use a plate again, just because a plate is easier to wash than a lid. How's that? And we're going to set that to the back of the stove. So while we're waiting for this to heat up, I'm just going to share with you because I know I'm going to get a lot of questions about my tea blend. And you can just kind of see in here what my tea blend looks like. And it's just a loose leaf tea blend, okay? And I don't really know exactly which recipe this is because sometimes I write it on the top of the lid, sometimes I don't. But I have about 4 recipes that I use for making tea lattes that I find have just worked really good for that because they don't have a ton of one strong flavor, and yet you'll see that a lot of my purpose for picking these herbs is because they have some really great healthy benefits to them. And I am after as many healthy benefits as I can in what I'm drinking every day. Now also, okay, before I go to that, let me just back up here. And let me just say that often, okay, I am gonna shake more into this. And you're gonna see when I make the latte too, that I will be shaking in a bunch of seasonings and spices. If you have not seen my Shake on the Goodness course, check that out. That just gets you started with 12 basic herbs that I use during the week, every single day, shaking them in something. Turmeric is one of them. It's one of my top, I don't really have a top 12. I have probably a top 15 or 16. I really have about 25. I try not to have any more jars than that. But I have 15 favorite herbs that just are circular. They go around. I'm using them constantly, okay? The other one that goes in everything is ginger. So you can see about how much I'm shaking in there. Okay, and I'm just gonna give this a stir also. That's all I do, just give it a stir. I just wanna steep those two particular herbs because they're root herbs right in with my tea, okay? I want to get a lot of good benefits in this tea. Okay, we've got about 1 minute and I do have clean hands. I'm gonna put my finger in there. Okay, it's very, very hot. I don't see steam, but it's just about hot enough to burn me, and that is about perfect. So I can let it go another 30 seconds or even 1 minute if you wanted to, but this is very hot. I should see some steam, yep, pretty quickly. Now I'm starting to see a little bit of steam. That is perfect, okay? That's exactly what I want. Now I'm gonna just turn this off, okay? And that's our 5-minute timer. So that is about right, and that's what I've found. It takes about 5 minutes to get this to be as hot as I want. I'm gonna turn my burner off. And this might sound kind of weird, but I just use a plate. This is just a luncheon plate, just a plain old Corelle plate. I'm just gonna sit this plate on here, and I'm just gonna let this tea steep. It can sit right here on the hot burner. If I was gonna be cooking some eggs or something else, getting ready for breakfast, I would just push it to the back burner. It doesn't matter either way, or just put a lid on it. Seriously, I feel like a plate is easier to clean because it doesn't have all the crevices of a lid, and because I do this every single day, I just put a plate on it. Sometimes I use my plate as my spoon rest, and my spoon goes on top of there, kind of double duty, okay? No fancy science about this, just cover it. That's all you're trying to do. So now let's back up and talk about the tea while that sits and steeps. This is gonna steep for at least 20 minutes, no less than 20 minutes, in my opinion. And most often, probably 90% of the time, if I'm being honest, this tea is gonna sit here for about an hour, okay? I'm gonna do a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm gonna load my dishwasher. I'm gonna pull out some things that I'm gonna get ready for dinner tonight. This is gonna be sitting here the whole time. Sometimes it has gone longer. I am okay with that. Matter of fact, I actually think that that is excellent. When you're doing a steep or you're extracting the good qualities and properties out of herbs, that is a good way to do it, okay? And that's really what we're doing. You could make a tincture, you know, we think about anything else that you're extracting. Even if you're making vanilla extract, you're extracting that good flavor and the goodness from that vanilla into the vodka. So this is the same way. We want to extract all the goodness that we can out of those herbs into our water so that we can drink them. And the basis is they are equal ingredients of all these herbs, okay? I might give one a little bit more nettles because I really love nettles. I feel like nettles and dandelion leaf, they both can give it a little bit stronger of maybe that little bit flavor towards a coffee or towards a rich drink. And so I might give a little bit more of those. So I believe that this is actually number 2, and 2 has oat straw in it. Oat straw, if you don't know, oat straw is high mineral. It has a lot of calcium in it. It's again, it's a high mineral herb, what they call like a stress and anxiety herb. It has horsetail in it. Horsetail is a very high mineral herb. Horsetail has high silica. Horsetail is super good for skin, hair, nails. I would even go so far then to say, what I have learned is that if it's good for skin, hair, and nails, it's usually good for teeth and for bones, because teeth and bones require the same minerals that our hair, nails, and skin need. This one, number 2, has gotu kola, lemon balm, and lady's mantle. So let me back up and say all 5 of those again. Oat straw, horsetail, nettles, gotu kola, lemon balm, and lady's mantle. Okay, this one had 6 herbs in it. Lady's mantle is a really good woman herb. Very good for women's health. You can look that herb up. A lot of women ailments, problems. It is supposed to be good for that. So just FYI, you can do your own research on some of these other herbs. Lemon balm, a lot of you will see lemon balm. Lemon balm is a very calming herb and just about as gentle and as easy as chamomile is. But very good anxiety, very good for nerve system, central nervous system, very high nutrition wise. Gotu kola, that is what I call one of my brain herbs. And I call it that because it's good for cognitive skills, it's good for memory, it's good for the mind. I put gotu kola in there specifically for that reason. And nettles is just super high mineral, very mild flavored, so you can put it in like anything, but it is just, it's like a vitamin pill, like a multivitamin pill. And I love drinking that every single day. So that's what my tea has got in it. You can do your own research. I would encourage you. Remember, I'm not a doctor. Just be sure, again, you do your own research. I am not on any medications. If you are on medications, then that might be different. You want to really check to be sure about these herbs, or if you're pregnant. I want to keep this super simple. And my whole goal of today's video was not so much to teach you about herbs as much as it was that you could take any tea that is your favorite tea and you will be able to make this creamy latte that I'm going to show you how. But I know when I show people how I'm making this latte and I pour the tea, they're like, what is the tea? You know, so that's why I'm sharing with you. I have a more simpler tea that I think is a lot more like a coffee. It's just dandelions, horsetail, and nettles. So just 3 easy herbs. I have one that is dandelion, horsetail, nettles also, but then adding the ginkgo leaf. Or also I've added gotu kola. That is another brain herb that I will use a lot in my teas because I've also taught myself that that is a very mild flavored tea. Again, on the Shake on the Goodness course, I share in there how you can also teach yourself how these herbs are going to taste in a tea by using things singly and tasting them singly so that you know, oh, is that really strong? Or if it's kind of strong, like ashwagandha, then maybe I'll just put a little bit in. So you kind of will learn that, and that is what I have done over the years. You could use this with just a green tea. I'm trying to think of, Tulsi tea, holy basil, Tulsi holy basil, that would be a really good one. My chai tea course, if you haven't seen that chai tea course, sometimes I give that away for free as a freebie in the fall, but this is going to be a lot like a chai tea. My chai tea class, I basically take all those herbs and spices, again, but there's no caffeine, and no caffeine in this one because there's no green tea. And you're gonna steep those, you're gonna add your milk, you're gonna cream it up and make it into a latte, and it is delicious. So now we're gonna drink all this goodness all week long, and you can drink this cold just by itself. Okay, so we're gonna come back in about 45 minutes or so when I finish up a few more things around the kitchen, and we're gonna strain this tea and I'll show you what's next. Okay, so now my tea is done being steeped. I'm gonna take the lid off and I'm just gonna set that in the sink for a minute. Okay, here is my jar, and because that's what I'm going to store it in, I'm just going to store it in a jar. Next, I'm going to set this in the sink just so it's be a little bit lower. I think you can still see it for me because that makes it easier for me. And then I'm just straining it through a strainer. Okay, it is why I love this pan that has a handle that doesn't get hot. I tend to use this pan a lot when I'm making tea. And this is all there is to it. You could see, I hope you could see that turmeric. Hopefully you could see that turmeric and ginger there in my pan. I want all of that goodness in my tea, okay? And somebody could argue with me whether that turmeric or that powdered ginger that I put in here, whether it ended up in my basket or ended up in my tea. And this is what I know. I'm still getting the properties of that into my tea, even if I don't get all the powder. And you're gonna see, I'm actually gonna add even more powder again to my latte. But I believe I am getting a lot of good benefits, and I do believe that a lot of it does go in there, the powder. And here's why, I'll tell you. So this is gonna go to the chickens, is because in a day or so, the sediment, any powders that are in here, will settle down to the bottom. And you can see I have a few floaties there on top. I'm okay with that. When you're gonna make a latte with it, I'm okay with that. I don't even care if I drink it. It's fine, it doesn't bother me. But if that bothered you, then just use a finer tea strainer. I kind of have a big strainer because I knew I needed to strain a lot off. So now we have our delicious, golden, rich, healthy tea that we can just drink just like this, warm. But let's make this into a creamy, delicious latte that you probably had no idea you could even make such a thing. So if you love creamy drinks, I'm telling you, I can't say it enough, you're going to love this. Okay, once this is ready in the fridge, put our storage cap on. It will become so handy. You might find that you will start using this for other things easily too. Like, let's just say you're gonna make yourself an iced tea. You'll just pour a little, add some ice cubes, maybe drop in a strawberry and have kind of like a little strawberry iced tea. You might throw in a couple lemons, have a lemon iced tea. The other thing that you can do is you can add a little bit to a smoothie or anything that you are making. When you have this steeped, beneficial, nutritional herbal tea, then you will start to use this and you'll drink it more often because it's ready and it's available. I, though, personally just love to make creamy lattes with it. Today it's hot, so there's only one day when it's hot, and that's today, the day I make it. So I could make a hot tea latte right now without having to heat it up. I don't want to show you that method because basically the next 4 days as I drink this, it's gonna start out cold. So we're gonna pretend like this is cold, okay? And I just took it out of the fridge. While it's hot, I'm just gonna let it cool on the counter the day I make it. Then I will put a storage cap on, put it in the fridge. Tomorrow morning, when I wake up, then I take my tea out. I grab my favorite little tea pan. It actually has measurements on here. And I want 2 cups of tea. That fits perfectly in my little thermos cup, but you don't have to be scientific about it. This is just however you want. You want a small cup of tea, it doesn't matter. You're gonna learn to make this taste exactly like you like, okay? So that's a little bit shy. I want a big latte, I love these. So now, okay, that's gonna go back in the fridge, okay? We're going to heat up our tea because this is cold tea, we're gonna say, from yesterday. Now again, I told you I'm gonna shake in the goodness. So I am gonna shake in some more ginger. Yep, even though I already put some in, I want a couple shakes. What I do, 3 shakes, not a lot. Because if any of you know me for more than a minute, I do not like the flavor of ginger and I don't like the flavor of turmeric, but I want these healthy digestive benefits that ginger has, the healthy anti-inflammatory benefits that turmeric has. And I know this is just gonna blow your mind. Okay, so now I'm going to put a little shake of salt. This is just pink Himalayan good mineral salt, 1, maybe 2. That does kind of enhance that kind of like, especially if you're making a chocolate latte, which I do that a lot in the winter time. Now I'm gonna put in a couple shakes of pepper, and we want black pepper in there because black pepper, when you use it with turmeric, is like a powerhouse. They say it magnifies turmeric's benefits to like, I don't know if it's 10 times more. Even if we just said double or triple, I tend to say if it makes my turmeric's benefits be 3 times more beneficial, I want it, I'm all in. Okay, now I want this to be very vanilla-y, so I'm gonna give it a splash of my vanilla extract, okay? Just a dash, not too much. You can overdo the vanilla very easily. And okay, then the next thing I want in here is I want a little bit of fat, good healthy fat. This is raw coconut butter. And I'm gonna give probably a nice teaspoon. It's not a tablespoon, but a good teaspoon. It's gonna melt in this hot liquid. You see me, it's scooped out fairly easily. When it's wintertime, it might scoop out a little bit firmer, but it's just, you're not gonna taste this at all. It's gonna make it creamy and delicious. So we're just gonna let that stir and just kind of melt it. I don't wanna get this too hot. Now I'm gonna take my coconut milk and give it a shake. And we're gonna add, I don't know, a quarter cup, a third of a cup. And I'm gonna do the same thing with some good fresh cream. I'm just gonna give it a plop. How's that? Sometimes I give it more, sometimes I give it less. Again, just good, wholesome, healthy cream, the best that you can buy. I hope you can see that this is looking good. Nobody else is gonna drink this, so I can actually take a taste of this right out with a spoon. It can be a little bit more, it can be a little hotter. Another thing I always add every single day, no matter what, is some MCT oil, okay? This is the dropper bottle that I usually use. It is like empty. So we're just gonna refill this real quick. This is just like an old stevia or tincture bottle. And this will get me, I don't know, a little while, but it's so much easier than using this big bulky jar. But if you're gonna use MCT oil, get a good one, okay? I like the one that's by Perfect Supplements, but there's other companies that sell good ones too. Now, I just have my dropper bottle. It actually sits right up here in my spice rack, and I am gonna do 2 droppers because I know that each of my droppers is a half a teaspoon, and I want a full teaspoon. Oh, it's just so good. Good fat. We need good fat for our brains, for our muscles. And you might be nervous and, Annette, are you crazy? I'm gonna be able to see that oil? You won't, and you're not gonna taste it either. And if you don't have MCT oil, that's okay. Just use, I just have actually raw coconut oil right here too, and sometimes I'll just use a little spoon of that. But you can see my spices right here. My MCT oil just literally, that's why also I have that bottle, sits right in here with those spices that I shake in every single day. Okay, so now it's hot. Now let's up the nutrition even more. Yes, even more, and turn this thing into a latte. Okay, now I'm gonna bring you over here to what I call my smoothie drawer or my latte drawer. Forgive me, it might not be perfectly clean. But now my Vitamix sits right here in this drawer. And anything that I wanna shake in, and I do have plans to do a video on how I put my shakers in certain places. Like this is latte and smoothie shakers. And I put my Vitamix on, okay? And then I just pour my hot liquid in here. And now I'm gonna turn it on low, completely low. And I know you're supposed to have a lid, everything else, so do what you're supposed to and put it all in there and put your lid on and turn it on. But I'll be honest, I don't. I turn mine on like so. So I usually always buy plain collagen because I don't want any flavoring, stevia, or anything else, but I have used other collagens and they work great too. Half a tablespoon, this is a full tablespoon. You can see it's only half full. I'm gonna do a half a tablespoon of that. And I just, again, make this simple. I keep this little scoop, it sits right here in an upside down lid just to keep my drawer neat. Next, I have, this isn't vanilla protein powder, but I do use vanilla protein powder. This is plain protein powder also because I am trying to control my stevia and monk fruit and anything else that's in some of those flavored ones. And I'm gonna use about a half a tablespoon of this also, okay? And then if it's a little light colored for you, which it is usually today, sometimes I'll put cocoa in there. This is Dandy Blend, which is like a coffee substitute. You can get this at the health food store or online. And I'm gonna give like, a teaspoon, very little bit of that. sometimes more. Actually, if you want it to be a little bit stronger, more like coffee, go ahead, or a little caramely, go ahead. So now we've got that in there. While it's going, I am going to shake in more goodness. I'm going to shake in a little bit of cinnamon. Cinnamon is so good for our blood sugar. I'm going to shake in some Lucuma powder. Lucuma powder is got a caramely taste, but it is like a superfood. It comes from a fruit, super healthy, great benefits. I'm going to shake in some ginseng. This is actually Siberian ginseng is my favorite. It's great for energy, endurance. Siberian ginseng I have tested for myself and know that it doesn't have a strong flavor, so I'm not afraid of giving a little bit more. The next thing I'm going to put in there is some maca, and this is a white maca. Again, this is super good for women, men, endurance, hormones. The list is long for maca. It's like a superfood too. Now I have other things that I could put in there. I'm just going to stop with this today. That's my favorite way, and this makes a very vanilla flavor. Next, I'm going to sweeten it with a little bit of monk fruit because I don't want to add any sugar. And you could do stevia. Sometimes I do stevia drops, but I'm doing more monk fruit right now. And I know that for this size, I'm going to do between 10 and 15 drops. I'm going to count them. All right, that's perfect. Okay, this is going to be delicious. Okay, the plate that I had my tea on, we're just going to turn that on high. That's it. And when I'm not trying to film, I shake all this stuff in super quick. Look at the foam of this. This could be delicious. Okay, so I'm telling you, this is going to be so delicious. You guys are just going to love this creamy, foamy goodness. I'm telling you, this is just too yummy. Absolutely delicious. Yeah, this is good. So let me say a couple things. I have a little bit left. I don't ever have any left because I fill it in my thermos cup like this, but it will fill up my whole thermos cup. Sometimes I do this when it's cocoa, or I'm going to put whipped cream on top, or I'm going to make it really fancy for myself, but almost always, 90% of the time, mine, I am just pouring it right into my, my thermos cup. And the reason I'm telling you is because you want all this foam, all that goodness. I want all of that goodness that's coming out of my blender. I don't want to leave any of it left. Same thing this. When you are enjoying this and drinking this thing, my goodness, you're going to love it. Drink all that foam and that goodness. Absolutely perfect. So I hope this encourages you that yes, you can make a delicious creamy latte. You could do this with mint flavored tea. You can do this with any flavored tea that you love. Pick the flavored tea you love, whether it's a store-bought tea that you just bought bagged or already blended, just as a loose leaf that's already blended. You can make this with any tea. It's too good. You're gonna love it. And just enjoy this delicious, healthy goodness. And I will see you in the next video.